Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in today because we are dissecting an absolute masterclass in grassroots human rights activism. Now, instead of just walking you through a standard run-of-the-mill biography, we're actually going to look at the life and the methodology of Kailash Satyarthi as a highly tactical blueprint for direct action. If you've ever found yourself wondering how these deeply entrenched, massive systemic issues are actually dismantled on the ground, well, you're in the right place. The source material we are covering today provides a literal playbook for engineering real, tangible change.
So to really grasp the architecture of this movement, we have to start at the catalyst. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of a young boy born in 1954 in Vidisha, India. He's a good student, comes from a pretty ordinary middle-class family. But right outside his school gates, he sees kids his exact age who aren't heading into class. Instead, they're sitting there polishing shoes. They're selling tea. They're doing incredibly hard, physical daily labor. I mean, it's estimated that during this era, there were upwards of 15 to 20 million child laborers in India alone. Let that number sink in. Facing that stark reality, this one incredibly persistent question forms in his mind. When I can go to school, why can't these kids? And you know what? That single piercing question, born out of just pure childhood observation, that was the spark that eventually ignited a global human rights mobilization.
And the thing is that childhood realization didn't just fade away as he got older. He went on to crush his engineering studies and stepped right into the beginnings of a really promising, lucrative career. But as a change maker in the making, he faced what we can call the burden of awareness. Because let's be real, once you truly see a systemic injustice, returning to the status quo, it becomes totally impossible. The contrast between his safe, comfortable middle-class life and the brutal reality of children who were entirely deprived of their fundamental right to an education, it just meant he couldn't look the other way anymore. The pain of those exploited kids became a very real call to action that he absolutely had to answer.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is the exact moment where the whole story pivots from just passive empathy to radical, courageous intervention. We really need to talk about the opportunity cost of activism here. On one side, you have this perfectly laid out path, a highly secure engineering career, a predictable, comfortable life. And on the other side, dedicating your entire existence to fighting child trafficking and severe, deeply rooted exploitation. He made a massive pivot. Stepping into the role of a frontline human rights defender required an unbelievable amount of sacrifice. He was willingly walking away from complete security and stepping directly into a volatile, high-risk reality to fight for people who literally could not fight for themselves.
Now, as any organizer will tell you, true systemic change is never, ever an overnight phenomenon. It requires serious endurance. If you look at the timeline of Satyarthi's life, it maps out this grueling multi-decade campaign of attrition against exploitative systems. Born in 1954, right? But it wasn't until 1980 that he initiated a major strategic escalation by founding the Bachchan Bachao Andolon, which translates to the Save the Childhood movement. And then, it wasn't until 2014 that his work got globally recognized with the Nobel Peace Prize. This perfectly illustrates the incredibly long arc of grassroots mobilization. I mean, we're talking decades of persistence, unyielding dedication, just the sheer grit to wake up every single day and keep chipping away at this massive economic machine.
And make absolutely no mistake, that economic machine was urgent, and it was incredibly grim. We are talking about thousands upon thousands of children trapped in horrific conditions. They were forced into bonded labor in these dark, dangerous factories, suffocating brick kilns, and highly toxic carpet industries. So the Bachchan Bachao Andolon wasn't just a charity. It was built as an organized resistance network. Its targeted aim was to systematically dismantle the economic models of these toxic industries and secure the right to education for every single child. This was direct, disruptive action designed to completely break the supply chains of exploitation that were stripping youth of their fundamental chance to just read, to play, and to dream. The most effective activists out there know exactly how to distill wildly complex systemic issues into simple, undeniable truths that can actually mobilize the masses. His was this: childhood belongs in schools and playgrounds, not factories. That became the central manifesto of his entire life's work. And I want you to really feel the energy behind those words. It is an absolute fundamental injustice to steal a child's youth and force them into servitude. Satyarthi's mission broadcasted this revolutionary message from the dusty streets of India all the way to the international stage. A child's workplace is the classroom. Period. End of story.
But you might be wondering, how do you actually enforce a philosophy like that against deeply entrenched, highly profitable criminal enterprises? Well, let's break down his tactical debrief. First, identify the forced labor. Second, coordinate with local authorities. Third, conduct the physical rescue raid. And fourth, secure the child's freedom. Now, reading these steps out loud makes it sound super procedural, almost easy, right? But the operational risk here was absolutely staggering. Our sources make it very clear that Satyarthi and his network faced fierce, violent opposition from very powerful cartels who were profiting heavily off this bonded labor. These weren't just administrative hurdles they were jumping over. These were high-stakes, hostile extractions that frequently faced physical attacks and violent pushback. But incredibly, the operatives refused to back down.
Let's actually slow down for a second here and really reflect on the human element of this impact. Over the years, they managed to coordinate these large-scale operations to rescue thousands of children. But to Satyarthi and his team, the metric of success was always profoundly individual. When you are fighting against overwhelming, staggering statistics, securing the freedom of just a single child, literally breaking their bonds and handing them back their future, that was the psychological fuel that sustained the entire movement. It's such a beautiful reminder to never lose sight of the individual human being when you're in the trenches fighting for sweeping systemic change.
Eventually, all of this tireless, dangerous, and deeply compassionate work began to echo across the globe. In 2014, the international community officially recognized this staggering effort, awarding Kailash Satyarthi the Nobel Peace Prize alongside Malala Yousafzai. And look, from an activist perspective, international recognition of this caliber isn't just a shiny award or a pat on the back, not at all. It is immense political leverage. It's a highly strategic tool used to force real policy changes, hold governments accountable on the world stage, and offer a crucial shield of protection for the operatives who are still working on the ground right now, amplifying the voices of marginalized kids.
Because even today, with the Nobel Prize to his name, Kailash Satyarthi is still actively out there working to ensure that every single child experiences a free, safe, and happy childhood. The work isn't done, so let's extract the blueprint from his life. The source material we've explored in today's explainer isn't just a history lesson. It provides a direct, actionable playbook for any future changemaker who wants to stand up against exploitation in their own world.
And this brilliantly illustrates the completely non-negotiable tenets of grassroots mobilization. We learn that education and a safe childhood are absolute rights. Staying silent in the face of injustice, it's simply not an option. It reminds us that just one person's radical awareness really can spark massive, large-scale societal shifts. In the absolute hardest, most dangerous battles, it is courage and sheer determination that ultimately dismantle oppressive systems. Serving humanity is the highest calling we can answer, especially when we're talking about protecting the children who literally dictate the future of our world. True success isn't measured in your personal comfort or your status, it's measured in the tangible, positive impact you engineer in the lives of other people.
Kailash Satyarthi's life proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that compassion, when it is combined with fierce, organized action, can literally break chains. He saw something terribly wrong, and he just flat out refused to walk by. He transformed his burden of awareness into an unstoppable force, freeing thousands of children so they could finally dream again. So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought as we wrap up today's explainer. What injustice are you refusing to stay silent about? Really let that sink in. Think about your own community, your own sphere of influence, and let's carry that activist spirit forward. Thank you so much for joining me for this incredibly inspiring analysis, and I will catch you in the next explainer.